Take a look at AMD. Stock's down about 3% today, reversing from earlier gains. They're at a tech conference over in Taiwan over the weekend, and early this week they announced some new chips. Let's bring in Caroline Wood, senior markets correspondent, to help us break this one down. Pretty big reversal in the overall market today, Caroline, but also AMD. You thought maybe Lisa Su coming out with some commentary would help the stock, but it's not.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't seem to be the case, Tom. That Computex conference in Taipei, Taiwan, giving a boost to Nvidia shares, but not a boost to AMD shares for really similar reasons. They offered some new AI chips. There was some positive commentary around AI, but it's doing nothing to boost AMD shares. They're down more than 3% right now. AMD, of course, has been trying to catch up with Nvidia, the market dominator in terms of AI, has 80% market share. And obviously the majority of the stock market gains this year, Nvidia up, 130%, AMD only up about 12% year to date. But at that Computex conference, Lisa Su said AI is the #1 priority. No surprise there. We know that's where the money is. But they said that they've been really harnessing all of their development capabilities within the company to focus on AI. Did provide some details about their newest AI processors and chips for both desktops and laptops. There's the AI laptop, and then that's in partnership, of course, with Microsoft too, equipped with Microsoft's AI chatbot copilot. There's the one for desktops, saying that calling the Ryzen 9000 series the world's fastest consumer PC processors. Those would be used for gaming and content creation, but not giving shares a boost today. And that could be because Nvidia said it's pushing into the CPU market, which is traditionally dominated by AMD and Intel. Nvidia argued that its combination of GPUs and CPUs will lead to significant cost and energy savings. So Nvidia shares up 3.5% today. That's, of course, the one to beat. Competition is heating up, and Nvidia plans to try to maintain its market dominance by releasing AI chip models on a once-a-year rhythm instead of a twice-a-year rhythm. AMD says it will follow suit as well, but clearly the one to beat. And competition, of course, is getting tougher for Nvidia, but it doesn't keep shares down.
Caroline, is it a good enough business model to say, hey, we're the best alternative if you can't get the Nvidia chips? Nvidia is the clear leader. The Blackwell chip is the clear, it's setting another, the bar even higher. But AMD is kind of coming out and saying, we're the best alternative to the Hopper chip. And Microsoft has come out and said, we really can't get the Nvidia chip, so we're going to use AMD. Is being #2 in this crazy market, is that good enough? Because here's the problem. With all this going on, AMD's having trouble growing their revenues.
Yes, I haven't heard AMD actually come out and say we're by us, we're a good alternative. But I think at about 11% market share, even chipping away at any of Nvidia's 80% market share would be looked at as a win for a company like AMD. In terms of the optimism on Wall Street that AMD can do that, of course, I look to the stock ratings to see what analysts think. And yes, 80% of analysts still have a buy rating on shares of AMD. But keep in mind, as I mentioned, now actually given today's gains, I said up 12% year to date. It's actually more like 10% year to date, only about 38% over the past 1 year. So you would think, how much more room is there to grow? There's only about 15% upside, according to the median price target on Wall Street of 190, a little bit more than that with today's declines. But I will say B of A did hike their price target to 195 from 185 for AMD, so getting a bit more optimistic. That's a bit higher than the median, but it seems like there's definitely optimism around AMD in terms of the future when you look at the 12-month ratings and price targets, but it certainly doesn't look like Nvidia, which has shares are up over the past 1 year, 190%, yet still 80% of analysts, more than 90% of analysts have a buy rating on shares of Nvidia. Median price target needs to be recalculated because that just got a $1,500 price target from B of A, which isn't included in there, but it was $1,200. So we just keep seeing those price targets increase and increase for Nvidia. So I do think that, yes, competition is certainly a headwind for Nvidia, but they're going to be the one to beat. AMD, I don't think will actually beat them, but they could chip away at that 80% market share.
Yeah, and they're at that conference also, NVIDIA. They announced their new chip, Rubin, that is supposed to replace the Blackwell chip, which hasn't even been started to be shipped yet. I mean, it's amazing.
The pipeline.
The pipeline, the race to the bottom, maybe. Who knows? Competition heating up. All right, great stuff. Thanks to Caroline Wood, Senior Markets Correspondent here, breaking down AMD. Now let's